Hey, listen, I know what you are thinking. That was an ugly Cowboys win. But Dak Prescott is right when he explains why it was encouraging, and the facts back it up. Let's get to it. What is up, everyone? Welcome into A to Z Sports Dallas Primetime. I'm Mauricio Rodriguez, hosting Primetime every Sunday and Thursday night, live 8 p.m. Central, and catching up with you Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays with quick hitting videos such as this one. The Cowboys won a very tough game on the road versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. 20-17 was the final score. But let's talk about the game. It was a weird viewing experience, and that goes back to before the game even kicked off. There was a weather delay, and it was like a 90-minute weather delay. There was a point that night where we were wondering, is this game even going to take place? Because, reporters at the stadium, they were saying there's another flash of lightning, and in the NFL, how weather delays work, when it's a thunderstorm, it works like there's a timer, 30 minutes until kickoff. And every time there's a flash of lightning, you reset to 30 minutes, right? So you cannot have a flash of lightning and then have the game start within the next 15. It's got to be at least 30. So it was a weird experience before the game even started. Then it did start. And here's the thing. You're not supposed to win games like the one the Cowboys did yesterday. You're just not supposed to, right? The Cowboys turned the ball over 3 times in a rainy game at Pittsburgh versus a Mike Tomlin coached team. That appeared like a recipe for disaster. We talked all week about how without Micah Parsons and D-Law on the defensive side of the ball, Dak Prescott, without Brandon Cooks, might have to go full MVP mode to win the game. And he didn't do that. In fact, he had 2 costly interceptions and then a lost fumble within the red zone as well. There were a lot of penalties. It was just a bad offensive performance for the majority of the game in that sense, with the poor mistakes. And when the Cowboys ended up winning it, it felt pretty nice. The Cowboys had a 90-yard drive in the fourth quarter. Then they added a 70-yard touchdown drive. Both were touchdown drives. And that turned the game around. And it was awesome, right? We celebrated it. Jalen Tolbert's touchdown, which almost didn't happen, by the way. And I'll open up a parenthesis. 3rd and goal, Jalen Tolbert gets hurt. And more accurately, he got hit in, that area where it hurts so freaking much to be hurt. So he was shaken up after the 3rd down and goal to go play where Dak Prescott targeted him over the middle of the field. Didn't connect. That was a poor throw from Dak on 3rd and goal. And then it's 4th and goal time. Tolbert stays on the field. Mike McCarthy calls a timeout, probably to better think about the play that he's going to call, right? It's now or never. Tolbert comes off of the field. And then the Cowboys roll out a 3-wide receiver look with CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Brooks, and Ryan Flournoy, who was making his NFL debut. Now, I'm excited about Flournoy and everything, but that's not the group of wide receivers that you want out there. And that was going to be the play, right? That was going to be the play. It was going to be Brooks. It was going to be Flournoy. It was going to be CeeDee, and obviously Jake Ferguson and all that. But that was the look that the Cowboys had. If Dak Prescott wanted to win the game, he was likely going to have to target either Flournoy or Brooks, right? There was a high likelihood of that because you just know that Steelers were going to zero in on 88. Fortunately, Mike Tomlin called a timeout at that point of the game. That decision from the Steelers head coach allowed Tolbert to come back in. Now, I've been critical of this decision from Tomlin, but you got to also acknowledge there is so much going on that Tomlin might have had a very good reason to call a timeout. He might have gotten there and be like, okay, I kind of know what they're trying to do here. Let me call the timeout and let me adjust, right? Let me be more prepared for whatever McCarthy is about to dial up in this do or die situation. But that timeout ended up being very costly for Tomlin, because then you saw Tolbert go back in and the rest is history. Mesh concept for the wheel where you have 2 shallow or horizontal routes generating some traffic over the middle of the field. And usually one of those 2 wideouts ends up being freed up. In this case, it was Jalen Tolbert for the win. Great pocket for Dak Prescott. Great footwork from Dak working to his left to find Tolbert over on the left side of the end zone. Awesome execution. But again, wasn't the cleanest offensive performance. And that has led to this feeling of it was a great win, a very important win, by the way, but it didn't feel great, right? Let me tell you something. Upon further review, it is a much better win than you realize. I'm going to say that. And Dak Prescott talked about it post-game. Maybe not directly, maybe not trying to let people know everything is fine and it was a better win than you guys think, because that would be weird coming from the QB that had 3 turnovers. But Dak did say this when he was asked about, did you ever think, hey, you're going to lose this game or something like that? Was there ever any doubt on you? And Dak Prescott replied, and you can read this article, by the way, over at atozsports.com/Dallas. Not at all, said Dak Prescott. Just look at the whole game. When we weren't scoring or we weren't doing what we needed to do, it was on us. It was on me. Whether it was fumbling on the sack early in the game in field goal range in the red zone, whether it be throwing the interception right before the half, and then again, when we were up 3, getting the penalty backing us up, and then that interception. Other than those, we were able to move the ball and do what we wanted. This is when it all makes, it all clicks for me. This was actually a remarkable offensive performance beyond the turnovers. Now, it's not fair in football to just shrug off 3 turnovers, not trying to be like, hey, Dak was actually perfect. He wasn't. But if you exclude those few plays, the Cowboys were really doing whatever they wanted to the Steelers' defense. And let's not do revisionist history here. The Steelers entered the game with a top 10 defense in EPA per play, top 3 versus the run, and the Cowboys ran the ball on the Steelers, which was not on my bingo card. This was also a 10th ranked Steelers defense versus the pass. And here are some numbers for the Cowboys in week 5. For the week, across the entire NFL, they were a top 10 offense. Specifically, they generated 445 yards, they averaged 5.9 yards per play, and they went 9 of 15 on third down. They ranked 8th best in EPA per play for week 5. That's including turnovers. Now, if we filter out turnovers, I think they climbed up to like 7 or 6, but drop back EPA per play, so specifically for passing plays, the Cowboys were 2nd in the NFL. And again, you cannot exclude turnovers in real life, but there is statistical value in looking at those sort of numbers and realizing they were actually moving the ball with ease. They just happened to shoot themselves in the foot over and over again with the turnovers and then with the penalties as well. Numbers get a little bit better. Dak Prescott had 4 pass catchers with over 50 receiving yards. That's not including Rico Dowdle, who caught a touchdown pass. And by the way, Hunter Lipke did not do much, but he had in terms of numbers, because obviously he was valuable in many ways, but that screen pass at the end of the game that got you to 1st and goal, all Hunter Lipke, another important receiver basically on your passing game. And here's the thing, man. Rico went for 87 yards. Now, Rico almost fumbled the ball away and gave it to the Steelers to end the game, but that wasn't the case, fortunately, because Dak was there to recover it. And here's my point. Even though it wasn't pretty, even though there were some ugly moments in this game, I saw a lot of things that I'm encouraged by on offense. I saw a team that couldn't really get the football to see the end. We might save the conversation of, do they need to figure out ways to do that more often than not? But I saw an offense that figured that out. I saw Dak Prescott being willing to throw to Jalen Tolbert once again when needed. Kevontae Turpin also had some big moments. Jake Ferguson had some big moments. So I saw Dallas have some answers against, again, a complicated defense where they overrated because of facing Bo Nix and Easton Stick and Joe Flacco and all that. Hey, maybe they were overrated. But this was a very solid defense that the Cowboys faced. They were road underdogs. They came away with the win, even though they had 3 turnovers. So all of that matters, right? All of that really does matter for me. And I think there was a lot of encouraging, more specific things. We saw motion on offense. We cannot spend 4 weeks complaining about the lack of motion and then finally seeing it work and shrug it off, right? That wouldn't be fair. So I think we should be encouraged by these type of things. Now, Rico Dowdle. Let's talk about Rico. the running game was broken for at least 4 weeks, and now we're starting to wonder, is it back? Is the Cowboys running game back in business? And you know what? It might be, because Rico looked so comfortable out there. And there were a lot of plays. I haven't really dived deep into the old 22, but I will later today, and hopefully we'll talk about this more in depth later in the week. But there were so many plays where you saw Rico Dowdle just know where he needed to go, better vision. And I'll be the first one to say, when Mike McCarthy said last week that they're fine at running back, they just needed more reps, I criticized him for it. I was like, come on, there's no excuse. You have had carries. You just haven't figured things out. But Rico did look like somebody that truly benefited from running the football a whole lot more. I think the committee is dead. Man, I think the committee is dead. Shout out to Joe Hoyt. I saw on Twitter that he made this point on Old City Dallas as well. Shout out to him. I don't want to make it seem like I'm stealing his talking points or anything, but it is true. I feel like the running back by committee, man, hey, natural selection, baby. Zeke is not working out. Dude's, expendable for sure. We want to talk about, do they need to involve him more, blah, 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 in different ways, maybe, but he's expendable for your offense at this point. Was a healthy scratch for the Cowboys on the game day roster, so he was inactive. You need Rico Dowdle to get more touches, point blank, period, right? There is a discussion to be had about Zeke's involvement with the offense, and if Dalvin Cook might deserve some of his looks, and maybe that leads to Zeke being a healthy scratch down the road. We'll see. But some spark in the running game, and that was fun to see. Do I still want to see more concepts and a much more aggressive running game? Sure, I do. But just seeing Rico Dowdle play better was encouraging as heck. Offensive line-wise, even though you still have so many ugly-looking snaps when Tyler Guyton and Terrence Steele are out there, there were some pretty good reps as well, right? When Dak Prescott finds Rico Dowdle for the touchdown, you see Terrence Steele handle business one-on-one versus TJ Watt. Now, maybe the route from Rico Dowdle is helping him out a little bit because it forces TJ Watt to go on to the outside instead of the inside. But you saw Terrence Steele handle that. And there were some similar plays throughout the game. There were also some ugly plays. Now, there's no denying that, but we knew that going into the game. So, overall, man, we'll talk about the defense later. But just offensively, you have a reason to be encouraged by this Cowboys win. And there's nothing wrong with acting like it, right? Was it ugly? Yes, it was. For a good chunk of the game. Did the Cowboys show a lot of positive? Yeah, honestly. Yeah, and now that I watched the game with a cooler head on replay this morning, I felt much better about beating the Steelers, I'm not going to lie. And now the Cowboys are 3-2. They do have the Lions up next. They do have the 49ers after the bye week. And it doesn't get any easier after that. But you needed this win badly. You lost at Pittsburgh. You were in very real danger of missing out for the playoffs. That's still a possibility, by the way. The Cowboys are going to need to really get some big wins over the next handful of weeks. But we'll see if that happens when the moment comes here. For now, hit the like button, man, if you enjoyed the video. Hope that you did. And I'll see you very soon with more Cowboys content. By the way, Marshawn Nyland avoided a season-ending ACL, but he might still miss some time, maybe 4 to 6 weeks, according to ESPN. See ya.